That reminds me, I read a story, I think, again, a pro wrestling story, and I'm fairly sure it was in one of Chris Jericho's books. He's one of the big stars of AEW now, was in WWE. And he was talking about wrestling in Mexico. And it illustrates our point really nicely about giving people a reason to care. So they're doing like lucha libre style wrestling over there, which is massively like gymnastic and crazy and hugely athletic. But the audience just weren't into it, right? And they weren't into it at all until I think it was one of the characters completely out of character. He was like more of a hero type, a face type in pro wrestling. He suddenly decided to use a low blow to gain an advantage, and all of a sudden, boom, because he'd done something out of character and nasty, and it was that all of a sudden the audience became emotionally involved in the fight because they've been killing it before, doing every flip and trick under the sun, and no one gave a damn, right? But as soon as that one simple low blow went in, because that means something anywhere in the world, do you know what I mean? Any man anywhere in the world, that means something, right? And straight away, boom. Yeah, and they were onto it. One of my favourites, I'll tell you what, mate, one of my favourite fight scenes that I think is the absolute perfect mix of like phenomenal technical ability and also like storytelling within a fight is in the Jet Li film Fist of Legend. And forgive me, I forget the name of the actor that plays the Japanese master, but he's spectacular. But when Jet Li has the duel with him, and the fight is like phenomenally technical and all the rest of it, but it's like it's the way that they build up to it. And they draw you in, and the old master's there downplaying his ability, and Jet Li's out start fighting. Stop! I need to warm up, and he's loosening off, and this, that, and the other, and then he's chatting to him, and Jet Li's getting more and more irate, and as he's chatting, he just very casually like flicks his finger, and there's like some leaves blowing in autumn, and he just cuts one of the leaves in half. He's talking, and the camera picks this up. And I just thought that was brilliant cinema. Now, admittedly, that's partly down to the scripting and things like that. But then, again, the fight itself, the way it goes, after putting on this big show about being this decrepit old man, he starts off with like a jumping triple kick and just it just goes from there. But they'd set that fight scene up so cleverly. Then, you're hanging on every move. Yeah. I love that kind of thing. So, that's one of my... Is there any particular favourite fight scene that springs to mind of yours? Anything over the years?
No, the ones I like is the Raid. The Raid film. I think that set the bar. The Raid. I loved it. But obviously, you've got Scott Adkins and all that kind of stuff. But,
let's talk a little bit about how you and me actually came to meet up, because that's quite an amusing story. And also, again, turns out I've had this conversation with so many people, whether it's martial arts, whether it's stunt performance, whatever. The world becomes an incredibly small place, and coincidence seems to be quite rife. But I met you back in 2013 on a promotional stunt for a company called the Wreck My Dress Company, which was a kind of Hollywood experience company. And we did a big live performance, and we had a lot of celebrities, people from Coronation Street and X Factor and blah, blah, turned up and watched it live. And we choreographed this piece, and we filmed it beforehand, and then we performed it live on the night and filmed the reactions. And it was kind of like like a James Bondy type piece. How would you explain it? I mean,
I think, look, this James Bond character who saves the day at the end, but the villains climb over the wall, don't they?
That's right.
Shock to an audience. Like, they all bail over the walls. Oh, there you go, villains. You take over the place. Like, you threaten all the audience. And then in comes, is he actually in there? Is he in his little Dickie Bow and tie? And
in the end, he is. In the end, it was Tony Leishman that played the hero character. But that was the first time I ever met yourself and Paul Flanagan. And you had Gary Kane doing safety on that, didn't they? Because there was some fire stunts and things. So it was the first time I met you guys on there. And we just hit it off, didn't we? Pretty much straight away. But
I think John, we had to like, basically, I was told to come down. We had to meet in this big hall, didn't we? And I was told basically that there's a big gang of lads, and need to come down, pick out the good ones for this particular scene, right? Put them through a little fight scene, see how they react, right? And I remember doing this particular fight scene with Paul Flanagan, right? Coming along, you do this and you block this, you kick here, etc. And I could stand back and watch them pair up, and you think he's good, he's not, right? He's good, I'll have him, etc., etc. I remember looking across the room, John, and you were getting on. Who were you fighting with?
I was with Tony. Me and Tony were partnered together.
You just stood out, mate. You could see right away. You think he's been there, he's done something. Tony was good. Tony had really great kicking legs, and you could see your reactions, right? And the fight scene was relatively easy. You just picked it up. I remember coming over to you and saying, "Not being funny, mate, but you've done this before." I'm very humble, John. Give you your due, mate. Right? You said to me, "Oh yeah, I've been doing this. I've been doing this blah 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 forever." Right? I said, "Well, you can tell me. That's great respect. Don't do anymore because it's too easy for you, and I've got you clocked. There's no need for you to carry on doing what you've done because you just stood out. Keep an eye on him." Right? So when we come down, we done the fight scenes, we rehearsed for the night, etc. We kind of bonded, mate, didn't we? Humor wise, on the martial arts wise, and took it from there. Basically, we've been good mates ever since.
No, it's been great, and the performance itself on the night though was interesting, wasn't it? And it taught me a very valuable lesson, Ray, about live performance. Have a plan B. Always have a go-to. This is something else that Dave and the pro wrestlers are looking for, right? Because they're used to working a live show, right? I'm not used to that. I'm used to takes, right? And I'm used to, okay, we missed that. Let's just go again. All right. So there were several things that went absolutely tits up on the night. The recordings that we did beforehand, I don't think we did several takes when we recorded it beforehand, and I don't think there was a single cock up on any of those takes. It went like smooth as silk every time, didn't it? And then on the night, it all went to shit. Basically, it wasn't our fault, right? But I'll just set the scene because Mr. Flanagan is in this as well, and I must have him on here if he'll come on because he's a diamond. And we need to speak to him. What a character! But he was doing a fire stunt, wasn't he? So basically, there's this. It's on YouTube. We'll stick the link on it, something like. So hopefully it'll appear on the bottom by magic. But basically, there was a dress from the royal wedding I worn by Pippa Middleton on display, very valuable dress, blah, blah, blah. We're having this big soiree at the host's house, Tony, and all of a sudden, the guests, and they're not told about this, so there's a complete surprise for them. One of the waiters, who's been very genuinely walking around serving drinks all night, a mate of mine called Eden, who's another MMA fighter, he suddenly sort of kicks off and starts knocking out the security and pulls a gun on people. And then guys, like you say, they come jumping over the walls, parkour lads and things come flipping over the walls, and the whole place gets taken hostage. And then I walk in. Now, originally we were going to have a name actor for the part of the bad guy, and then he dropped out, so I got sort of bumped up to that because I could do the fight scene. So I walk in and set off a detonator. It's a big explosion, and then we go down, and just as everything looks hopeless, suddenly this guy who's been dressed as an electrician, as a spark in the background, he comes to the forefront. That's Tony Leishman in his red overalls, and he starts kicking ass left, right, and centre. And he throws a hand grenade, and it blows up. And it sets a guy on fire, and Paul is waiting around the back of the building, and the hand grenade, boom, goes off, and then Paul comes running out on fire, and Gary Kane was doing the safety on him, so spraying him down and setting him up. On the night, someone from the press gets up onto a cordoned off area where there was a massive pyro ready to go off. So Tony has to run up there, get her down and out of the way, right? By which time it's delayed the whole skit long enough that all the spray on Paul's suit started to evaporate, right? So when we finally light him and do the stunt after this massive explosion comes off, Paul comes running out screaming, "Ah!" And the only thing that's on fire is the backs of his ankles.
I love it.
That was the first one. That was the first one. And the best one was the learning curve for my good self. So I'm the big bad guy, right? And I get into it with Tony, old school 80s action movie style. I decided to take him on and show what I'm made of. And we have a wicked fight. And I'll be honest, the fight on the night went better than any of the rehearsals. It was bob on, right? Now, there's a bit in the fight where I'm getting my ass kicked and I stagger away. And my minion, Eden, the one that was dressed as the waiter, he hands me a gun. He hands me the gun, and then I just pull the gun on him. On the night, this didn't quite happen because I turn around to Eden, right, at the point where I'm supposed to get the gun, and he hands me the bloody drinks tray. And I'm like, the fuck's this? You know, I'm like, where's the gun? You know, and Eden's panic. He's like, I've lost it. And I'm like, what am I doing this? Right? So, like, I turn round and I've got this tray in my hand, and me and Tony turn around and meet each other like, what? And I panicked because I thought, well, do I hit him with it? But we've not rehearsed that. What if I take his teeth out or cut him or something? So I just kind of ended up, like, threatening him a bit with this drink.
Yeah, a little tag name.
So, basically, after dispatching half my minions, and facing down a gun, he's then cowering in fear at a drinks tray. I mean, in my defence, the edges were quite sharp. They were quite. I could have done some damage there. You know, it could have been like the new Odd Job thing. You know, I could throw a drinks tray and behead people. I mean, you know, it was just character depth there, mate.
Listen, mate. There's no way. There's no cut and take two, was there?
No.
You had to carry on and bullshit it, basically.
Basically, yeah.
Had a reserve and maybe a knife in the back pocket. You could pull that. Lesson learned.
Lesson learned, mate. Have a plan B. And live shows are dangerous. But no, you know what, right? I mean, afterwards, we're joking about it now. Tragedy plus time equals great comedy quite often. But at the time, we were all mortified, weren't we? And you, me, and Flanny ended up getting absolutely mullered in Tony's kitchen afterwards, like just drinking. That's how we. It's a good story. So, oh, bloody hell, Ray. So we've talked about what you've been up to recently with your writing and obviously the Gangs of London, which I'm really, really looking forward to as a fan because I am still a massive fan of all this. And the one thing I'll say is, like, even though I'm doing bits in this industry now, it doesn't detract from me in terms of, you know, being able to enjoy films and suspend my disbelief and everything. Even if it's something that I've been a part of. Like, when you got me on Penny Dreadful, I'd avidly watched the first 2 seasons. That I loved that. And then you got me on there and I was like, oh, wow, jumped in on that last scene. But even when I'm sort of seeing myself up there, I'm not seeing lights and cameras and sound booms and things behind the scene. When I watch it back, I'm in the story. It really makes no odds to me whether that's me on the screen or not. It's just a cool little aside. And I'm able to do that. You what?
Dark and gothic. Great series. Dark, gothic, witches, vampires. It's actually, what's a shame? I don't think it was publicised enough. I think it kind of went under the radar, John. It was just fantastic. Written by a great writer, that John Logan. Wow. Samurai, Last Samurai. Guy's phenomenal, right? And if you like horror stuff, right, it was clever, right? And it's a shame. It's a shame it didn't actually get the publicity it deserved.
I believe it did well afterwards. It did well afterwards, especially in the States. It kind of picked up some momentum as a box set afterwards. And I think from what I've seen on you know, reading the stuff on the interweb and what have you, I believe they are actually doing a sequel, but I think they're shooting it in LA and it's set in the 20s. They've jumped forward quite a lot, so I'm sure it'll be cool. But I doubt we'll get on that one, mate. But all the same, my point was more about still being a fan, and I know you still are. I know you still appreciate really good sort of films in general. But let's just talk a little bit about your career. And again, you know me too well to blow smoke, but Gladiator, Titanic, the Batman films with Christian Bale. Oh, mate, what? Sorry,
Bond, Braveheart,
Bond, Braveheart. I mean, seriously, there's more major league titles in there than you can shake a stick at. Like I said, most of your stories you can't tell, but this one I don't think will cause any offence. But it had me just crying with laughter for forever. Which was when you told me about your escapade in Batman. I think it was the first Batman with Christian Bale.
The ninja scene. The ninjas.
The ninja scene. Okay. Please, because why the hell this wasn't on the outtakes? Because I would have paid good money just for that outtake. But go for it, Ray. Please tell this story. Please tell this story.
There's a scene in Batman where he's in the temple, it's like Tibet or whatever it is. As Christian Bale, as Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson is Ra's al Ghul.
He's a big, tall lad. And what else? You start the conversation outside, and he walk around, and eventually he enters the temple, and he walk around the temple, right? And there's all kind of beams above. And what else? We're all, basically how it starts, we all pull ourselves up in the bar, in the beam, right? Pull ourselves up, and we all got harnessed, we're all harnessed up, right? And we lock ourselves in, and there's a wire drop down through the floorboard, and we click ourselves in the harness. As we pull ourselves up, the guys above the floor pull us up tight against the ceiling, as tight as we can. So we're trying to hide ourselves, mask ourselves above the beams. The beams are this big, and we're up here, pulled tight against the floorboards. And at a certain time, when he walks into that room, you run along and you unclip everybody from above. At that stage, you're now taking your own weight on the bar, and your feet are pushed against, and you're like pressing against the beam. So you're basically holding yourself up, and you're kind of like parallel, which wasn't too bad because you could press, you could push with your feet, bend your knees and push against the beam and lock yourself in and pull yourself up like this. Great. After X amount of takes, no problem. But what happened was, there's a scene where he comes along, I can't remember the dialogue, but he's trying to say to Christian Bale with ninjutsu, it's fantastic, it's great, and silent killers, and he said, very silent, you never know where they're coming from, and blah, he goes, obey, and they all drop down onto scenes, pop, all his ninjas drop onto scenes. Hey. I happen to be right where Liam Neeson's head is, and he's a big fella, 6 foot 4 or right? So my feet on the beam, right? I had to basically, I couldn't just drop straight down. I had to pull my legs in, like a little crunch, right? Crunch, drop my legs down. And suddenly he's gone, well, that's a bit close to Liam, right? So they have a break. When we come back, he'd moved my bar back. Right? They moved it back about 6, 7, 8 inches, right? So now, right, where I was basically crunched up with the bar, and my feet were kind of out like a little frog, I could push and pull myself up. Now totally like an arrow, and the balls of my feet are touching the beam, right? And I'm holding myself up, so there's no traction, right? I can't push and pull. Basically, feet are just, the ball of my feet are touching the wood like that. And it's like, oh my God, as soon as they took that release off me, bam, that lock, I was now holding myself up totally on my hands and my biceps, right? Because I can't use my feet because they're totally locked out. My legs are straight. Right? So you do about 2 or 3 takes, right? And I'm watching, it's all on my arms, my forearms, right? And I'm watching my fingers going, no, right? No. I watch my fingers going, no, it's taking everything. I can't push with my legs. I can't bend. I can't get no help of my legs in any way, right? Because it's just touching out like that, like bolt. And suddenly I'm going, no. And he comes in, I'm thinking, hurry up with your dialogue, say your dialogue, right? And I'm watching my fingers go like that. Don't do it to me. Don't do it to me. Like, I'm just told he's a ninja. And he says the dialogue, and he says basically, a ninjutsu, he'll teach you to kill 1 man, then we'll teach you to kill 100 men, blah, blah. He said, ninjutsu, the art of invisibility. He goes, and I just come straight down like a starfish. I didn't bend. I come straight down, splat, feet out, arms out, bam, on my back like that. I thought, no, right? And they looked down at me, right? And I'm doing a ninja, doing a starfish impression, right? And I remember sitting up and hide my embarrassment like that. And he looked at me, I was, all right, Best skills afterwards. All right, I got up, I walked out, and I basically, I basically walked under the door out of embarrassment. But I walked under the door and no! Told him what the score was.
Right, like ninja, the art of invisibility. A man could be within a centimetre of you and you'd never even know it. Boom! Except Ray, you knew.
Except the starfish in the clock.
Yeah. Oh, mate. That should have been on the outtake somewhere. That is just precious, mate. But
that embarrassing. I bought them all.
One thing I missed. And again, bro?
I bought all the outtakes of your kind of stuff.
You bought them all.
Give us all them.
There was one other sort of coincidence there, though, that I forgot to mention. I talked about coincidence before, and then I didn't go into it because we got sidetracked, as we do. But when we met up, was Buster Reeves the coordinator on Batman?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when we got chatting, just like small world stuff, I actually knew Buster from the martial arts days because small world, in 1997, I actually replaced him on the English Kit Jitsu squad on the English team for the Four Nations Cup because I was originally his reserve, but he'd been on the TV show Gladiators and he'd won a holiday to South Africa. I think he won it. I think he won the show, if I remember rightly. And he was taking that holiday, so he was away. So I actually got to start instead, and it was one of the best nights of my life. Actually, I got that spot, and I took the ball and ran with it, and it was a phenomenal night, and cool team as well. That was myself, Dave Breed, Paul Lynch, Paul Grant, and Gary Turner, who went on to fight quite a bit of pro MMA, and he's done a bit of movies and things. Nice dude. Dave Breed, Paul Lynch, still good mates of mine. Paul Grant, fantastic kick-jitsu world champion, and so it was cool to be part of that team. But I sparred with Buster for all the like selection process, and also, I mean, I remember Buster from being back on the cadet circuit in the late 80s, early 90s on the FSKs at the George Carnell Centre in Manchester, and even though he was like leaps and bounds ahead of, well, pretty much everyone there, you know what I mean? He didn't know me from Adam. I think I was like a green belt or something at the time, you know what I mean? I was only a young kid. And but he still took the time. I always remember he took the time to talk. He didn't know me from Adam, and he took the time to talk to me. He was a nice guy. And then it was kind of weird when we got chatting. Until I spoke to you, I had no idea that he was in Hollywood doing what he was doing. And then obviously I've seen him in loads of stuff in The Accountant with Ben Affleck and all sorts of stuff. And yeah, but that was a small world.
I know. I'll tell you about Buster's he was an exceptional martial artist. Excellent stunt performer. He really was good. I worked with him again years later. Ironically, he gave me a call and I worked with him. Very privileged to work with him. I worked on Tarzan, the Untold Story, whatever it was, but that big budget one. I work with him now, like set supervisor now, which is nice of him to give me that job. So and while I was working on there, I was training all the black lads on there, all the coloured guys. They were coming down and playing they're playing all the natives.
Yes, I've seen it. The Belgian troops come in and they have a big, to do.
The Zulu type characters come in with just all the white chalk on them. They look the part. Those guys had fantastic physics on them. So I was training them up to a certain point. I mean, one stage, Buster let me loose, and I had them in a hall. Man, there must have been about 200, 250 in there at least. I had to try and get them all up. I'd done routines A, B, C, D, and E, and I sectioned them all off so I could work them, right? And then I removed all the sections, mixed them all up, and we went bam, action. And it just looked like a massive melee, as you couldn't tell. Routine A, because we put routine A, 2 or 3 there, and 4 over there, so mixed them all up. And just one big amalgamation. It was like chaos, and it looked good. Quite proud of that.
That's excellent. I remember because we were working on The Village for BBC, because the opening scene has a boxing theme with a fairground boxing champion in a booth, which was Daniel Ezra, and you phoned me up, and this was when, like I said, this was when we were still just sort of getting to know each other more. But you were like, "You're in your mills, aren't you, John?" And I'm like, "Yeah. Why?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm filming there." I'm like, "What? What are you filming?" and they actually filmed that literally on our doorstep around New Mills and Hayfield and everything else like that. And they used my old gym, which had conditions that would have made a Spartan wince, to train all the actors in. And it was good.
I like I like the old gyms.
I loved it, mate. I have massively fond memories of that place, always in my heart. It's flats now. It's very nice flats, unfortunately. But
I'll be grew up in the same as in Liverpool. That's how we grew up. That was spitting sawdust gyms, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I mean,
like
you know what's crazy though? I mean, this is something I really like, and this is the kind of thing I'm trying to get across in these interviews and things I'm doing with people, like the depth and the stuff that people might not know, and the cool little asides. But where we were in Hayfield Cricket Club doing all the boxing scenes, and in between you were running ideas by me for fight scenes in Tarzan, and we were kind of like, running through bits and bats that you then, later used. I just always find that amazing. And like, you've used me and the lads for like previs stuff, for Penny Dreadful and for various other things at the old gym. And it's like, it never ceases to blow my mind. Just like when you're watching a film that gets released and millions of people across the world are watching it, and I'm watching it back, and there's the fight scene, and I'm like, we drilled that in my old gym in the back gym, in New Mills. That's where
now it's gone worldwide. It's gone worldwide, and we rehearsed it.
That's it. But I look everything. I mean, this show itself, right? What I'm doing here, this internet channel, because it's been a concept. It's been in there for years, right? And now it's finally becoming a physical reality. One of only two good things to come out of this whole COVID-19 lockdown crap. A, I've been spending loads of time with both the kids, which is just precious, and I'm just eternally grateful. And B, the fact that I've finally got this to fruition. And I love that process. I love the creative process. I love literally just picking something out of the air, starts as a concept, becomes a physical reality. And I love that we've done that quite a lot in terms of some pretty big fight scenes for some pretty big TV shows and films. And that it all got formed in my old gym, which was like I said, proper spitting sawdust place, make a Spartan wince, especially in winter. And it was like, but it was great. And it's the middle of nowhere as well, because I mean, I'm local to Derbyshire, and I love it. I love it. I've been all over Europe, and I would put the scenery and what have you round here up against anywhere in the world. I love the place. But these days, it's like I'm in it, I'm not of it. When I was growing up, it's a very claustrophobic, small town mentality where you either end up with A, a very strong sense of yourself, or B, a very strong sense of psychosis, or like me, a bit of both, about 50-50. But the point being, it's I had this conversation again. We're going to go over a lot of the same ground. There's going to be overlap in these interviews. But me and Lee were saying, different world. 20, 30 years ago, there was no internet. There was no, people weren't as accessible. And that kind of world of the hyper-real, if you will, like films and big rock acts and high-level professional sport, it just seemed miles and miles away, And for us to be doing what we're doing in the middle of nowhere, in the Derbyshire countryside, and bringing these concepts to physical reality, which then go on to be featured in these major worldwide films, that's just the coolest thing ever. And also, I'm not being funny, Ray. I think sometimes I know how influential you've been to to how many people, myself included, and just in the world of film and TV. And I don't think sometimes you take enough time to just stop and go, wow. Because I mean, like, you've sent a lot of ripples out there, Ray, with your work. Yeah, don't pull a face, mate. Don't pull a face. I'm not going to embarrass you. But the point is, a lot of work and a lot of really top shows, right? And stuff that people worldwide, I mean, like half the films that I named before, Gladiator, Titanic, GBH, worldwide classics, mate. You know what I mean? Just affected the public consciousness. Brilliant. And GBH, YouTube, do it, right?
Yeah.
Well, seriously. Well, do you know what, mate? In seriousness, right? Starting, right at the very, very bottom. And then getting... Yeah. The only way is up, as she has said. But seriously, mate, I love that. I love that about the creative process, whether you're talking about, music or writing, or in your case, predominantly fight choreography. I never cease to be amazed by that, how like the small ripples, they just emanate outwards and they have some pretty enormous effects and things. So yeah, I'm just saying that's worth dwelling on. So going back to... Go on, mate.
I think I'm privileged when I look back at my own background. Right, where I come from. Right, I've got the violin out. Right, it was like you grew up with like the tin bath, sharing with your brother. Right, and it was the coal fires and the outside toilets. Right, I can remember having chip butties for Christmas dinner. That was the kind of the background we come up from. But looking back now, and it kind of hardened me. I think it done me good. Right, and it gave me that realistic, gritty concept, especially when we're writing, John. It comes out in me writing. Right, so a lot of people like when you read the stuff, quite taken aback. It's like all you do is basically pulling what you know from the past and putting it into your writing on the page, and then you give it to the actors, the directors, and they go, "Wow, I think it should be shot like this," and the actor then enhances it. He goes, "I think that you should pause on this point and emphasize that point." And when you see them, right, doing it and it's on screen, you think, I sat down in my little writing room, a blank piece of paper, thinking, where do I go now? Where does this story take me now? What does he do? How does that link in? And you're on your own. It's quite lonely as a writer. You're sitting there for hours, days, weeks, building a scene. And I'm a bit OCD. I'll go back, but that's not good enough. That's not good enough. Because everything I write, I don't want to, I've always said this, I don't want it to be a case of where you give it to somebody and they read it, like a producer, a potential producer, whatever, and they read it and they go, yeah, that's not bad. Then you give it to someone and go, I've read that. It's got potential. I don't want that. I want them to read it and go, it's a winner. Look, hand someone, that's the winner. Right? So I'll go back and I'll work a scene and work a bit of dialogue, and I'll go, and eventually you'll come up with something and go, oh, there you are. So you get to go, oh, there you are. And when it impresses you, you think, not good enough, because you're always chasing ghosts. You're always chasing someone else who's writing a similar thing, or is it you and me, and we put our scripts in, someone puts our scripts in. It's like a fight. So you look at it, right? You're fighting someone in a written format, right? Because you've got to basically outdo the other guy, because the producer, the potential money man, gets the script and goes, okay, got 2 scripts, I'll sit down, read these, have a little bit of a wine, sit down and read that. And you've got to beat him because you want the money. You want him to give you the money to make the film, right? So I think the background I've had, right, gives that little tiny edge. It's like when I said to you about fight scenes, you can see someone moving along or portraying a fight scene. I'll be me and him, right? I'm thinking, I've got the edge in there because you haven't been there. I have. Right? I've actually fought in alleyways and near all or nothing before, or I'm going to end up in hospital or a box, and I've got to fight, and it comes out. And you've got to know that feeling, John, especially. And then when you're doing your fight scene, portrayed, you can see in your eyes, see in your face, you put yourself back in that moment. Because if you don't, it's just a fight coordinator telling you what to do. You told me to block here, to headbutt there, to get up. Oh, I'll react there. You think, no, you haven't lived it. You've got to live it. Right? It's not a secret.
Connection, is there? It's the connection, and that's important. It's important in the fight. It's important in real life fighting. It's important in screen fighting. It's important in writing. It's important in everything. It's that connection with your subject. That is a huge, huge part of it. Whether because on this channel, I'm covering all sorts of things. I'm covering all kind of extreme sports, performance arts, and the one common factor, is it's got to be real, and you've got to have that connection to life, and without sounding too flowery, you know what I mean? So you're really expressing yourself through your subject, whether it's martial arts or music or whatever it is. You know, you're there. You're not just a robot going through the motions. Yeah.
No, I think, John, I always tell a lot of people, right, doing your fight scenes, so sometimes they watch, and even though I'm teaching people, put myself in the moment, right? So I'm portraying it to show them, look, this is how it should look when you do it properly, right? And it's passion. If you haven't got your passion, right, you're just teaching someone a fight scene, and you're taking your money, and you go, next fight scene, yeah, read the script, live it, be passionate about what you do, about everything, art, music, fight coordination, stunt coordination, have a bit of passion.
Coming back to Tarzan, you said you were really, really proud of the scene with the African warriors and the Belgian guys, and that looked badass. But there was some really great stuff. Was there another chap you worked with on that? There was a fight coordinator on that.
It's fantastic. We go way back, right back to Hong Kong again, and he never stops working because he's really, really good. He's top of his game. If I go Mike Lambert.
Yeah,
Mike Lambert.
I've heard of Mike Lambert. Yeah.
Good martial arts in his day as well, wasn't he?
Right, so, yes.
The guy's fantastic. He really is. He deserves all the accolades he can get. Right? And ironic, John, I met another guy on there. I think you might know. Right? And he was one of the Africans. Right? He's a lovely, lovely fella. I just hit it off with him, and I've just worked with him a couple of months back. Right? We met again. And it was a fellow Nathan.
I don't know him personally. But I definitely remember him from the circuit because he was amazing. He's a little bit older than me, but I'm not going to go into this too much because I'd like to speak to him ideally, and it'd be cool to go into it with him. But I remember him fighting Alfie Lewis back at Clash of the Titans 5. So the Clash of the Titans events, for those of you that don't know what the hell I'm talking about, they were like massive martial arts events of the day. And that, for me, that was... Again, I'm going to cover this on a different interview. I'm not going to go into it too deep now. I want to get back on point. But I started off watching Clash of the Titans, and number 5, when Nathan fought Alfie Lewis, the main event, and you had the team event on there. You had the Warriors team, which was like an all-star team with Joe Tierney, who was my instructor for years, Peter Constantine, Peter O'Para, the Overdog from Liverpool. You had Chris Bowie on there. You had Chris Williams from Manchester. It was just a badass squad. And Bob Sykes, Tony Sykes. It was mega. So you had the Warriors. You had the Laugar under Neville Ray. They were great. The TAGB, I think that was under Kim Stones. And you had the English Contact Karate Association. And it was just a spectacular night. So yeah, I definitely remember Nathan from that night in particular, because that was a massively influential night on myself. And maybe I'll get a chance to speak with him directly about that. That'd be cool. But yeah, he was big on the circuit. But sorry, I've digressed, but this is what this is all about. Go for it.
Well, it was, I remember we were all in the gym. When you work on a film or whatever, sometimes you have a section off there where you rehearse all your fight scenes, all the stuntmen go there, where equipment is, and you had like this like thin little mats on the spread big area to do your sparring or your rolling or your fighting on. And it turns out that a bit of a gap in between the film and that. I remember all the lads were like sparring with each other, moving around, sparring, right? And then Nathan got up, right? And even his young lads, his young flash fellas, flash kicks, etc., etc. And he was toying with them. I remember sitting back watching them, thinking, yeah, and you're not even going 100%. I thought to myself, you're actually playing with them. And at one stage, one fella tried, he got a bit overzealous. He was trying to contact them, and Nathan just let loose. Just a quick bloody kicks, jumping kicks, bam, oh man, I thought, there you go. And then he toned it down again. It was like slapping them down, right? Slapping a little pup down, bam. There you go. That's not really me. Here's a little bit of me. Brr, let him loose. Big flashy kicks, nice combinations, and then toned it down. And you see the guy going, right, fair enough, and backed off. Yeah. It was really impressive. He's a nice guy as well. That's what I'm like. Right? Good martial artists, good fighters, etc., etc. But good personalities. It's a bonus when you put them together. Nice guy. You know what I mean?
It's just crazy how, like I say, what kind of a small world it is. Another guy, and we might even be looking at. I wanted to talk about your writing before we go, but this story also has to be told, which is another guy that I remember off the circuits back in the day, was Ashley Beck. And he did more sort of catter and creative catter and things, but he was a really nice technician and things. But he, of course, is the source of he's a good stuntman, isn't he? He's on loads of stuff. But it was on Tarzan once this happened again. The old goblins scenario. So that's now our saying, isn't it? So when you and me are teaching the fight choreography seminars, we don't have the gone blank, we have the goblins scenario. So just explain this story as well, because it's not going to offend anyone. It's funny as hell. Go on.
Buster said to me, he said, there's a load of probationary stuntmen coming down, stuntmen and women. He said, when you come down, Ray, put them to the paces. I want to see what they're like. So I put a little fight scene together, right? And we get two little people, individuals in the middle, big circle of young guys around them, and girls, right? And they carry on, they do a fight scene, etc. And I kept saying to him, halfway through, you see them go, oh, and he go, it's you, it's no. And I go, stop. Very important, right? You're only just getting this game, right? I'll tell you now. In the middle of a melee, battle sequence, anything, whatever else you said, you're going to go blank. And if it happens, right, don't do what you just done, right? Because the camera had to be 100 people fighting axes and swords or whatever, right? Or in a bar room, right? And the camera pans around like that, and suddenly there's the two of you. Everyone's fighting mayhem, and you go, no, you punch, and no, it's you. You caught out, right? So it says, you won't hear the camera because there's that much noise, right? If you go blank, you shout to your opponent, you shout to your partner, right? Go blank, right? Come blank, right? And then you carry on, and then have a little sequence that you can fall back on. If you shout "gone blank," you go, "Oh my God!" You fall back onto your safety plan, which you work out before. And whoever shouts "gone blank," right? You can throw a right hand, and I'll duck back, and I'll throw a kick, or we got axes, right? I'll do a swipe, and you move sideways, and I'll do a thrust, right? Until your fight scene comes back on. You go, oh, and you go, right, okay. As whatever happens, shout to your friend like that, "Go blank," right? And Ashley Beck is like, well, do it Yorkshire way or whatever, right?
Very much so.
when I get in a fight scene, I get passionate because I'm right in there, and the adrenaline gets going, the sweat gets going, and as I'm Scouse, right, from Liverpool, right, and once I get passionate, right, my accents just quadruples. It goes faster and faster and faster, and I'm like a Gatling gun, like, right, and I'm shouting, "Go blank," right, and Ashley Beck is saying to his mate, Ray, he said, Why's Ray shouting? Why's Ray shouting goblins? He shouted goblins. No, he said he shouted, go blank. All right, I thought he was shouting goblins. So that's like a knock-on effect with me and you. Right? We get a fight scene and we go, goblins, right? And you see all the people going, what are they talking about? And then you got to explain to them. So then you go, that's the goblin scenario.
I wish I'd had a goblins scenario for the Wreck My Dress show, because that would have been good. So, like I say, let's learn. Goblins.
No, John, it worked for you, didn't it, guys? As I told you all this, and we've done all the fight scenes, and then it happened exactly as I said it would over on Badlands.
Into the Badlands,
Swords, all swords, right? And you kind of adapted well, mate. I seen you went, oh no, and you shout, gone blank, yeah. And you pulled out the hat. Right? Luckily, the guy you was working with, he worked out a safety and a routine B to fall back on until he got back online. So it does work.
100%.
It's experience. I've been in the game for 30 years or more. Right? You learn something over 30 years.
Ray, we've just got to talk briefly now. You've mentioned Into the Badlands about the wigs of Into the Badlands, because I have never seen a show where they've made you look like more of a twat more regularly. Brilliant. I love those girls over there.
What was that?
Check out Into the Badlands. Why? Because it is a seriously badass martial arts epic. It's brilliant. It's really funny. It's got amazing action. And you'll see Ray in some of the most spectacular wigs of all time. The episode, I believe, is called The River King, right? That was the pièce de résistance. But I mean, it was the one where just before you did your knee, mate, Glendalough, which was a beautiful, beautiful like beauty spot in Ireland, and where we were filming up there, and we were acolyte warrior priests, and they dressed him up in the best wig I've ever seen in my natural life. He looked like Rodney rolling off the horses. Like
reminded me on. I looked at it in the mirror. I went, "You're having a laugh." It looked like I stuck my head up a cat's arse, didn't it?
It was not good. It was not a look for you, Ray. But I've just got to say once again, thank you to all the girls in makeup and hair and costume for not giving me that wig and for giving him. Because mate, guys, I can't tell you how much joy you brought to my life, because it's got legs. That it's 2 years down the road. We'll be on this 10 years from now. It's got legs. It'll go. Thank you, and thank you for it not being me. Cheers. Next time I'm over there.
I think it cost you a fortune. You bought them off. I really do.
Wasn't cheap.
Oh, cried. But you start making him please.
Once it's on film, mate, it's you're the one that says it's on film. It's committed forever. Yeah. That River King episode, Ray. Sweet. I was watching that at home. I didn't realise that was you for a second. And I was like, "Fucking hell!" And then that was it. I was dead on the floor, creased up, like just clicking, laughing so hard. I was like, just clicking for half an hour. That was awesome.
What's really bad about that, John, as well, when you put it on, you glue it on, you can't even get it off. You can't it slipped off in the fight scene. It slipped off. You can't. You're stuck with it.
I reckon you're gonna rock that look one day, Bray. Just for the hell of it. That's mint. Oh man.
The border collie on my head. Look.
Oh mate. There's pictures of me, to be fair, Ray. There's real life pictures of me out there from when I was about 15, 16 with a mullet, which is pretty disturbing. I look like the illegitimate child of the Tiger King and Rudolf Schenker from the Scorpions. It's not pretty, mate. So we should be given, you know, John Exotic. Definitely. Oh, mate. You've got to check that. Have you seen Tiger King yet?
Yeah, I'm watching it tonight. Yeah.
Oh, mate. It is the best and the worst thing I have ever seen simultaneously. It's like the definition of mixed emotions. It's like watching your ex-mother-in-law reverse off a cliff in your brand new car. That's the best way I can explain the show and what it does to
me. Yeah.
But there you go. So listen, bro, in seriousness, I will just finish off with a little bit about your writing. Because I've been fortunate enough to read a few of your scripts. They're fantastic. You've got one in you had one in pre-production before the lockdown commenced, and I'm sure it'll all kick back in. That was Let No Man Know with Razor Edge Films, but you've just been working on Delstrom, you were telling me about. But you've talked about the script specifically. What's the, is there a particular process, or because when you're writing scripts, it's not like writing a novel where you can use loads of exposition and you can go into the character's thoughts. You've got to show it rather than tell it, haven't you? I mean, you're good at that because you're pretty descriptive with your stories and everything anyway. So is that something that comes naturally to you, or do you have to really sit down and dwell on that? Do you have techniques? Give me a little bit of that to finish with.
I think with it, John, like when you write, right? If the scripts are allowed to be 200 pages long, it'd be easy, right? Because you've got a particular scene or a sequence, right? And you've got to describe something. So I've seen something in my head how I think it should play out, how it should be portrayed, right? And you write it down, right? And as you read it, I've got to hope that there's enough description in there, right, for you to visualize what I see. So I'm trying to make you see what's in my head in the written format, in a paragraph, right? But it's not like a book, right? It took me years. I've been at it for years and years and years now, right? And what is basically, if the paragraph was like 25 sentences long, it'd be easy, right? But the problem is, by the time you do 25 sentences per description, right? The script itself would be like War and Peace, and no producer will look at that, right? So what you've got to do basically is, and it's hard, right? You've got to try and put them 25 or condense those 25 sentences into about 3. Right? All that description's got to be broken down, condensed. Don't need that. that one word will describe them 4 words. You put it in, you condense it as much as you can, and when you read it, you've got to be able to see what I'm trying to tell you in about 4 lines. That's the hard bit. That's the hard bit about it. Right? And then you got to write it so basically you're reading it and you don't lose the audience to read and go, I'll go put the kettle on. You've lost them. Obviously, whatever's going on, right, the lead nuts. But I like to think of it. I like to try and write like them little Harcraft things, it comes along, beep, right? Then drops down a bit, it goes beep, it comes up, boom, and it spikes, boom, like that big spike, bit of action or a powerful moment. And that'll give you time then to get the character or characters over and bring it down and before it goes, dips too long and the guy buggers off for a cup of tea. I'll read that later and come back. You've got to bring it back up, keep their interest. That's the way I like to write, because because I actually like buy a lot of films. I go to cinema, right? I spend my money. I go and see what's out there and see how it plays out. And I like to think when I write, it's to keep the likes of me in the seat in the cinema, not go. I'll just go outside and get some popcorn and come back with a drink, right? At that point, I'll go to the toilet, right? If he's gone out and come back, you've lost him, right? So try and write enough excitement and enough character exposition, enough storyline to keep you there. Think, oh, just go to the toilet. Oh, hang on, it's kicking off. And I'll go to, hang on a minute. I want you to cross your legs. I don't want you to go to the toilet because you're losing. I've lost you. But that's the idea of writing scripts. And it needs to be exciting. It's to keep me in my seat. That's the way I write it.
I think it's something that comes pretty naturally to you, mate. And I just wondered if, years and years of like I mentioned earlier, you do a good job of storytelling in your fight scenes, and I think an element of that seems to have sort of gone over to your writing. Having been working in that medium for years, albeit in a specific area. But when I talk with you in general, you know what I mean. If we're down the pub having a couple and you're chatting, you are very descriptive, and it's like when you are describing stuff, it's a pretty visual experience. It's just something you're good at, whether it's in the fight scenes or whether it's in the writing. So I wish you all the best with it, and I very much want to see some of these come to fruition, because the few of yours that I've had the chance to read have been really, really cool, and I think they deserve to make it onto. I'm not saying that because you're my mate. They're great. I'd love to see them. I think there'd be some storming films, and some of the utter dross that gets made when you sat down and you've like, you come in and you're a bit half cut and you try something on the box and you're like, oh my God, that's 90 minutes of my life. I'm never getting back now. You know what I mean? So I wish you all the best with that. And I think once you find your niche, mate, you'll be well away. So before you do disappear off into the next progression, the next part of the career as a writer, you and I do bucket list stuff, because like this whole lockdown scenario has given us time to think. We've discussed it, but we must do one epic on-screen bout, you and me, before you move on to the next part of your career. That has to be done. We've got to do that. Also, while I've still got a hip, bro, because they're quite.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do that. That's a great one. Right, mate. What we'll do, obviously, we're going to talk again. We always do. We could talk all day, every day for like a year straight and fill these up. But we'll leave that there for now. That's been a phenomenal interview. And pleasure, as always. Massively, massively looking forward to Gangs of London. Got yourself, got Lee Charles, Gareth Evans directing. I cannot wait for that, mate. So as a complete fanboy, I'm looking forward to that one. And hopefully when all the madness stops, we get a chance to work together soon. And we're definitely going to do that bout on screen. That's got to happen. We'll get Bez involved. And I'm going to have to shout in one of these interviews if he's feeling up to it as well. So, mate, pleasure as always. And I will call the recording a day there now, bro. So, thanking you, mate. Cheers. Take care, Ray.
Take care. All the best. Bye-bye.
Cheers, mate.